Hello, my name's Charles Brennan. I'm the editor-in-chief of the International Journal of Food Science and Technology. And today I have the pleasure of another coffee with the editor, and this time with a friend and colleague, Professor Hafiz Suleria from the University of Melbourne. Welcome.
Thank you.
And you've just published a paper, a review article about something that's really interesting in terms of jackfruit and how jackfruits, their nutritional profiles, their analysis of their chemical composition, and how that relates to the opportunities for product innovation and product development. Where did this idea come from? It sounds really cool.
Yeah, thanks, Charles. Yeah, it's a very fantastic project, and I guess it's a very amazing project that we are doing, and actually it's a collaborative project between University of Melbourne, funded by the Agri Future with Northern Territory government, and that's amazing idea because as we know that we are in Australia, which is a very multicultural society,
Yeah.
and people from the Asian side, especially from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and some other countries like Southeast Asian countries, they love to eat jackfruit. That's very like a sort of a common food there and very tropical food there. And when the people are migrating in this area, they are missing this fruit, and we found that like that's really good fruit because like that's not only serve the purpose of the fruit only, but people are using for different other purposes. For example, in Asia, people are making the curries that because it's a meat alternative, because
Mm.
many of vegetarian people love it. So that's one of the reason we thought like why we cannot work on this. And it's good like when especially Northern Territory people, they're already growing there, and there are emerging industries which contacted to agrifuture. They are also pretty interested in this space, and we thought like that's a really good time. We can look at the this fruit and try to understand like which different varieties or clones are really good and which sort of good fruit that we can get, and then we can sell to the Australian market. So that is one of the reason we decided for that project, and we are lucky enough. Agrifuture and emerging industries and Northern Territory government, they all are really keen to do that project, and I was asked to do that, and really thankful for them. That's one of the reason we decided for that project.
It's really interesting in terms of picking up what you've just said. First of all, in Australia, I wouldn't have perceived that we have a jackfruit industry, but obviously it's growing now.
Yeah,
But the second thing is now that we're looking at plant-based alternatives to meat,
yep,
and what you've said in terms of curries and the ingredients
yep.
of jackfruit, it's not just the fruit. So is there a big market in going forwards for that?
Yes, absolutely. Because it's not only for the vegetarian communities, even the people like us, we are eating like meat, but still like we are always in a search of finding some more alternative things. And like I found that it's a very amazing product. We eat many time, and we found that like people really want to eat it. The only thing is like when we are like thinking like the future market, it's like some of the challenges, of course, like especially when we are growing a jackfruit in Australia, which is very different in taste and taste, because we got a varieties, and we have a like very nice like clones coming up, and in the next few years might be we will be in a situation where we can have a wonderful jackfruit that people are eating back to their countries. Because I had a like discussion with many people from different, especially from Asian countries, and they said like we bought a jackfruit from Australian market, although they claim that the Australian grown jackfruit, but the taste that we had back in our countries are very different.
Yeah.
So we are getting those type of perception from the consumers, and we are working on it. And that's one of the reasons what I'm trying to do it, like trying to understand that like whatever the varieties growing in Australia and whatever the varieties are coming to Australia, like especially the jackfruit is coming from India, the jackfruit was coming from like Thailand as well, and jackfruit is coming from Malaysia as well. So I'm just like going to the market and picking that one and trying to understand like how much difference is in like phytochemical profiling, how much difference is in nutrition profiling, why the taste and flavor is a little bit different. So we are working on that one. So we picked one thing which is very important is the ripening stage of the jackfruit, because the most of the composition and most of the quality, you can say, or quality traits present in this jackfruit is linked with the ripening stage. Because if it's like picked or harvested earlier, so the quality is very different and taste traits are very different. So the consumer perception is very different. So I think like the challenge is not only here to grow the jackfruit. But the challenge is to focus on the right varieties that people like, and also think about it like with sort of ripening stages, like are like like for commercial point of view, for consumer point of view, for processing point of view, when we
Yeah.
are looking for the industry market or making some more novel product out of jackfruit. So it's very important to look at the appropriate ripening stage. So we are working on the ripening stages as well at this stage.
So how does that affect the nutritional profile? So you mentioned that there is an aspect of that nutrition as well as taste.
Yep.
Why is jackfruit good for us?
Yep. So we recently got one paper on jackfruit as well, where we look at the ripening stages.
Yeah.
But in that project, actually, we try to understand like the ripe and unripe fruit, and we found that there is a huge difference in terms of chemical composition, in terms of phytochemistry, polyphenols, especially where we are focused was, and also like the flavor and aroma compound as well, which is linked with like consumer acceptance. So we found that that's really huge difference in the chemical composition, because the ripe one, they have a very different compound, and then with the passage of time, it's quite normal during the plant physiology or fruit physiology, the metabolites convert from one form to another form and also generate some more phenolics and all those things, which is pretty amazing. And then that we found that like, okay, if this is the case, might be this is one thing we have to think about it, because jackfruit start from few kgs to like up to 20 kgs, even 17, 18, 19 kgs, so we have to think about it, like it depends on variety as well. So that's why what we are doing in our next project that we are pitching at this stage, that look at the whole fruit physiology, growing from fruit to the fully ripened stage, and collect the difference, because we know that there are 17 stages, which is very important in terms of jackfruit. But there are always fruit physiology, we look at the specific stages of the fruit. So we are picking them and trying to understand like how the metabolites change during these stages, and how we can better understand that like which stage we have to say this is the right stage for the harvesting, for like processing purposes, for consumer point of view, for other product development view, or for other novel product, for other novel products. Yeah.
Thinking about that, obviously jackfruit is known for its anti-diabetic, anti-cancer type of claims,
Yep.
that it can help in our nutrition and well-being, and metabolic diseases.
Yep.
What stage of maturation, therefore, is important? And is it the phenolics that are having that play, or other compounds?
Yep, that's a very good question, because when we are talk about the biological activities, people are always thinking like maybe the polyphenols are the only like who are doing all those activities. Actually not, because we are doing a multiple projects. In one of my projects in seaweed that's funded by the ARC, we found that like it's not only the polyphenol, it's the interaction of the polyphenols with some other dietary fibers, with some other protein, with some other moieties also interact, and then like they play a like sort of synergistic role. So same with the jackfruit, we found that like there are phenolics in it, there are some other phytochemicals as well, and some other bioactives as well, which is not phenolic but some non-phenolic you can say, but they have a very good interaction with phenolics, and they chemically or physically they are binded with each other, especially with hydrogen bonding, some covalent bonding, or some like other bonds are there, where we are trying to understand like how they can they can work as an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, or doing some other biological activities. So like, but we found that initially in our initial trial, the jackfruit has a very strong antioxidant, anti-inflammatory activity as well, and we are working on some other biological activity, especially for the anti-diabetic, where the people are interested.